Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater here. We're at NAMM 2024. We're in the Eagle's Nest that Ernie Ball has set up. That's what John Petrucci called earlier when I talked the Eagle's Nest.
That's a great
Got
name.
the view over the floor, right?
Yeah.
With Rabea, it's great to see you, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Great, yeah. You were just out at Sweetwater not long ago.
I was, yeah. A few months back now.
A few months, I guess it has been a few months, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've had Christmas.
Well, there was that, wasn't there?
That feels like a lifetime ago already. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that happened while you were there is you were dropping some hints about a signature guitar might be happening with Music Man.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
Yeah, finally we're here. I mean, like, it's actually not been a crazy long time to get from the initial prototype, which is what I'd brought to Sweetwater, to this. So I'm just over the moon.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Crazy surreal.
Yeah. So this is your take on the Sabre.
It is.
Correct? And so give us a rundown. What's happening with this guitar?
So if you're familiar with the Sabre, it's the kind of double cut, double humbucker kind of, I guess, fairly modern kind of spec guitar that I had a chance to play quite a lot. I got sent one quite a long time ago, actually, in Bougie Burst, which I always really liked the guitar. And then, you know, through the situation developing that I became a Music Man artist, and the conversation happened about, you know, making an artist model guitar. The Sabre was the one that sort of connected with me the most, in the sense of, you know, its visuals, the kind of size of it, you know, 'cause I'm a big guy, so it's nice to have a decent sized guitar. And, you know, obviously double humbucker, the 5-way, there were a lot of things about it that was like, that's what I would use, and that's what I would do. So last April, because NAMM was in April last year.
It was, that's right.
I had the pleasure of going up to San Luis Obispo to meet everybody for the first time, because it had only been over like email and FaceTime before that, so it's really cool to go and meet Brian, for example, and Drew and everyone. And I got presented with a very early prototype of the Sabre, the artist model Sabre, which is, like I said, what I brought to Sweetwater. So in terms of what we've changed, I guess, the first thing, well, there are a few things really, a few quite distinct features, like it's satin finished, whereas most of the Sabres, I think if maybe all of the Sabres currently are gloss finished. So I love satin finished guitars, because as well it's easy to clean sweat off after a gig.
They're practical.
Yeah, big time. There's a couple of aesthetics that were really important to change, like firstly, the arm carve. For me, it's much more comfortable to have this. When I've been able to road test and tour the first prototype, which is like the stock Sabre, which has the hard edge. I found after like 3 or 4 shows, my arm was a bit tender because I'd be rocking out a bit too hard and doing a lot of this, and it started to feel a little tender for me. So we added that, and it resulted in a really cool detail, having that reveal binding coming around the edge there. So that's the first big one. I suppose we'll get onto that in a moment because it's quite funny. But then the neck size. I'm used to playing quite chunky necks. I have an old 55 custom shop Strat that has this baseball bat neck on it that I've played for so many years just at home, and gotten so used to like a chunkier neck that one of the first things I asked for when designing it was, can we make the neck bigger? This is cool with the prototype because I'd said this to Drew, I like a bigger neck if that's possible. I got spec'd a stock Sabre with this, like, it's like a custom neck carve, 59 style neck carve. They had this huge big neck, which I fell in love with. So when the prototype got made, Drew had actually hand carved the neck out, and previous to receiving it, I'd kind of asked if it could be thicker up here and slightly thinner down here, which turns out isn't very normal.
Right.
Apparently. And I had no idea because, you know, I'm not an engineer. I don't really know anything about that side of guitar design. But Drew was like, I'll give it a go. And he did it by hand, and I fell in love with it. And the first thing I said was, don't change the neck. It's perfect. So it's thicker up here, thinner down here, and it's subtle. But it's a really, really nice feature. And I really enjoy the shape. It's not too big, but I would say it's one of those guitars that it feels like it gives you a comfortable fight in a way, in a good way, you know, like, and you feel comfortable to take those risks as a player, having this neck, I personally feel like. And it's great for riffing, great for leads, for me.
I don't know if I've ever heard of a guitar that had sort of that reverse shape like that, because most of them are either the same all the way through, or they get thicker as you go up the neck. Yeah,
and that was kind of like what I'd learned, was that it wasn't normal. But in my head, it made sense that if I'm playing riffs, I wanted to have in the band, like I wanted to have the girth there so that I can really grab hold of it and play these riffs. And then when I'm playing lead, I want less wood in the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I can feel a bit more free.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So that's a big change, and one that turned out really great, and with the donut inlays as well. Mm-hmm. It's got loom inlays on the side, so because there's so many times where I've played a gig and the lights go down, you're like, I need to come in. I'm the first one to come in, and I don't know where my hands are. So that was great to get these. And then, we move on to the other sort of ergonomic feature, which is the heel carve. Mm-hmm. So the stock Sabre has, obviously, it's flat here, there's no carve. And I'd found that, because I've got big hands, when I'd be playing up here, I found live that it was sort of feeling a bit cumbersome for me. I was struggling to feel kind of free. So I asked if we could start to carve away a little bit. So Drew did this first, which I'm so used to that, and I feel it really helps me. Particularly that kind of movement, if you're doing lots of legato up here, just having that tiny bit of wood taken away, you don't hit your finger anywhere near the same.
Yeah, right.
So the subtle things, but it makes such a huge difference to the playability for me, personally. So this heel carve, first thing we did was take the horn away, like the back of that, so that if you're player that has that kind of purchase on the fretboard, your hand doesn't get in the way, which is, the guitar doesn't get in the way,
right?
Which I like. But this heel carve, I got sent a couple of prototypes. Like the engineering side of it is quite in depth because you've got structural integrity to take into consideration.
Right.
And things like having the heel plate still work on the construction of the guitar, the lengths of the screws, so many things. So they sent the prototype and I was like, it's good, but can we take more away? Just always asking for more. You know, as Yngwie said, more is more.
Right.
So I asked for more to be taken away, and Drew, with his like engineering brains, like, I don't know, like I'm not sure. That might be difficult. And I remember saying, come on, let's just try. Let's just see if we can get any more. And he was like, I'll work on it. You know, I can't guarantee it's going to work because the guitar has to be stable, but I'll try. Mm-hmm. And then on the Wednesday before the show, so like 2-3 days ago, whatever, I don't even know what day. We're on Saturday today. Yeah, so like a few days ago. Right. It's all blurring into one now. I got presented with the final versions. Provided, you know, obviously, I was really happy with the result, and that's exactly what happened. And I remember going, you know, like to look at it, you couldn't tell that it's smaller than the previous prototype, but when I'm performing down there, there's a lick that I have to play up here. Mm-hmm. And rehearsing on the previous prototype before flying out, I kept fluffing it because I felt this cumbersome nature. Or on this one, I played it first time.
Nice.
And I was like, well, that must be better then. Yeah, you know, it's such a subtle thing, but it has made such a difference. And I really love that.
Yeah.
So that was those are the kind of big ergonomic design changes, if you want to call it that.
Right. Yeah, those are the kind of things that make it a guitar that inspires you and makes you want to just keep playing.
That's exactly it. That's what I feel we've nailed with this guitar, is it's inspiring to play.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah. So tell us about the pickups. What are you? How are you voicing the guitar?
So these are my signature bare knuckle pickups that I brought out a couple of years ago now, and generally they're designed to be versatile. So you can play low to mid gain stuff, high gain stuff, and they're dynamic. The bridge has got a nice low and high end support, but it's present as well. It's smooth, but it's got a nice amount of presence. It's great for riffing and great for leads. Mm-hmm. It's about 18K output, so it's quite hot.
Really high, yeah.
But the way that it's designed is to be quite dynamic, so it's not super compressed, which I like. And then the neck pickup, I believe, is about 7.8 or something like that. And it's kind of inspired by one of my favorite neck pickups that I used to have on the Nuno Betancourt guitar. That I'm a huge Nuno fan. Yeah. So I had this guitar from like a teenager, and it's kind of got a scooped, spanky kind of neck tone to it. Kind of reminiscent of like a Stratty kind of thing. Yeah.
It was when you were playing earlier, I was noticing how open it is and how it really has that top end, a very sweet top end to it. Yeah. So, and I'm a big fan of that in neck pickups, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's the set, and they're Alnico 5 magnet. But what's cool is, as the stock Sabre has a 5-way, so does this. But what we added was a push-push on the tone so that you can split these down because they were designed to have a great split coil tone as well. For me personally, I like to explore as many different styles of music as possible and
in my own time or with songwriting and play as many different styles as I can, whether it be a bluesy thing or like heavy stuff or, you know, like fusion or attempting all that kind of.
Yeah.
I just like to explore, right?
Sure.
And it's great if the guitar can follow you into that exploration tonally, you know, so that you don't need to change up the guitar to just feel like your tone fits in with that sound, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of why we added that as well. So you can kind of do so many different sounds with this guitar.
Right. So what are the 5 combinations if you're not splitting the coils with the 5-way switch? What are the 5 different combinations?
So you've got full bridge, in position 1 and position 2. I believe it's the outer coils.
Okay.
Position 3 is both pickups together, so it's like a thicker version. And then position 4, I think it's inner coils, which means it's a slight variation on the tone of position 2.
Right.
Kind of that sort of a chimey telly thing, you know, if you can imagine how that sounds in middle position. It's got that sort of roundness, bell-like tone to it. And then position 5 is the neck pickup.
Neck pickup. So the switch then is when you're in 1, 5, and I guess in 3 then it would be changing the...
So this is the cool thing. So usually it would, if you were traditionally rewiring this with that, it would mean that you would split the pickups down and it would be like this universal split. So it means that positions 2, 3, and 4 would be the same. You'd get that kind of mix of coil, but they'd all be split, so it'd sound the same. Then you'd have bridge and neck. Whereas with Music Man, and what's great about them and their engineering prowess is their wiring inside. There's a little PCB in here, like they have in all their other guitars. And what they were able to do is design it so that irrespective of that being split, you still have access to those 3 positions as you would if it wasn't. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Nice.
So you can set it and forget. You could be like, I've got split bridge, split neck, but I could still use 2, 3, and 4, irrespective of what they're set to.
Nice.
Which just makes it more versatile again.
Yeah, right.
So
you sort of cover a lot of ground with all those different combinations.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Fantastic. And this guitar has a beautiful neck. And this bird's eye roasted.
It is roasted bird's eye maple, locking tuners as well. I really love bird's eye maple. You know, one of my favorite things is the smell of this neck. It smells like maple syrup. And I love that. Every time I play it, and you've been playing a little while, and you smell your hand, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. We don't think about the aromatic factor of tone, but it's got to be a thing, right?
100%. You know, when you open the case and you get a nice aroma, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to play.
That's a bonus, man.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Super cool. Well, congratulations on the signature model. It really is sleek and ergonomic and, man, so many different tonal possibilities. Very cool.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I did forget to mention the bridge too. The bridge is a slightly modified version of the bridge that was on the JP15.
Okay.
Because I own a JP15 and I really love that guitar. The bridge on the stock Sabre, as you can see, is quite a bit bigger.
Oh, yeah.
You've got this big metal plate, and I found when I'm playing live, I get sweaty. My hands sort of slide around a little bit, whereas with this, it's low profile, there's less going on. It was remachined for this guitar, but it's basically that. But yeah, sorry, I wanted to throw that in there.
No, very cool.
I feel like it makes the guitar, it sets the guitar visually quite a lot apart from the others.
Yeah, all those touches that make it look great and also play great and sound great. So fantastic. So you're here at NAMM. I saw yesterday. I walked by the booth you were playing and couldn't get near enough to hear what you were doing. There were so many people crowded around. So are you playing more today, or do you have other things going on?
Yeah, I've got another performance down on the Music Man booth in a couple of hours. It's intense but really fun.
Yeah.
It's just I suppose with the whole thing, and for me being so. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be part of the family and stuff. I apply a little bit, probably a bit too much pressure to myself to justify it, you know, when I'm on stage. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Oh, fantastic. And what do you have going on the rest of the year?
As I was saying to you before we started shooting this video, my main priority right now is to continue writing and releasing music. So I've released a bunch of music in the last 6 months. An EP, an album. I released a single on the 25th. Got a new band that are releasing an EP in a couple of months, and I'm working on more of my own material as well. So I'm just trying to keep writing and keep putting music out. I've been actually doing some music for a video game as well, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Basically as much creative possibilities as possible. Just want to keep writing music, and if I can incorporate, you know, YouTube and Instagram and all the social platforms into it, then I will. But the priority is creating.
Right, fantastic. You're making music. I love
Yeah.
it. That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations again. All your success and
Thank you.
the guitar and everything. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Appreciate it. Come back to Sweetwater soon.
I will.
Right,
I will.
Great. And thank you for joining us here. We're at NAMM 2024 with Ernie Ball, Rabea. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.